Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain for You. Today's topic is going to be, do I need 100% belief? So we'll dive into that in a minute. Going to take a couple of nice, clean, fresh air, outdoor air breaths. Breathe in the peace. Exhale the noise and the static. Breathe in the belief. Exhale the doubt. Breathe in the strength. Exhale the self-limiting beliefs. So, I see a lot of people making the quote, you have to believe 100% or you won't get better. And I think that's kind of a trap. Because when you see that and you're kind of new to this, you're still kind of on that fence and you're still going, but wait, maybe it's physical, or it still feels physical, or the doctors told me X, Y, and Z. So if I don't believe, and I'm being told I'll never get better if I don't believe, now what? What do I do? TMS certainly sounds like it's possible, but I'm not at the point where I believe 100%, so why bother? Right? And unfortunately, this trap, I think, really keeps a lot of people from moving forward at all, because they feel like they have to believe 100% right up front before they ever even spend any time or energy researching, learning, adapting the mindsets, teaching themselves to feel their emotions and soothe themselves, calm their thinking, right? And so, a couple of thoughts about belief. Belief is kind of interesting. I've heard people say that, belief is just something you have, right? You either believe something or you don't. But keep in mind, most things you believe are based on a decision, based on whatever facts you had or information you had presented in front of you. And, some people believe, I can start my own business. Do they know how? Do they know the exact mechanism? Are they 100% sure it's going to work? But they believe it, and so they begin. There's a million examples. Kids want to learn how to ride a bike. And because their parents are encouraging them and saying, you can do it, you can figure it out, we'll take those training wheels off, they believe they can do it. Are they going to fall? Absolutely. Are they nervous? Absolutely. But it seems worthy of their effort, so they decide to believe enough to try it. And so that's what I'm going to encourage you with this mind-body stuff, right? People say you have to believe 100% or you won't get better. Doesn't mean you have to believe 100% before you even decide to begin. Because here's what happens with decisions. When you make a decision that, this TMS makes sense to me, and I'm still a little uncertain with regard to some of the sensations that I have, the symptoms which I have, whether or not it's TMS or not. I'm still on that fence. But it certainly makes sense to me. So I'm going to choose to believe enough to start digging into this, right? Doesn't mean you're wasting your time. It just means that you're taking some first steps. And that is incredibly important. Because if you never take those first steps, you're not going to start having some experiences in this type of approach that actually make your belief that much more concrete and strong. So, when we decide, and a decision or a belief is really just a decision. Decide, based on all the evidence you've reviewed, your knowledge about TMS, your assessments that you've taken, that everything points to TMS. If you're still unsure, make a decision. This is it. I'm going all in. Decide. And once you've made that decision, here's something interesting. The brain has something called the reticular activating system. And what that is it's a system that's constantly scanning the world and everything around us, all the inputs, for evidence that the things that we believe are true are actually true. So it automatically seeks to confirm what you believe. And so if you can make the decision up front, even if you're not 100%, but if all the information is kind of logical and points to TMS, make the decision that this is going to be your approach and this will work for you. And that as you start to move forward, as you start to become more and more aware of TMS, of how this mind-body syndrome works, you will start to notice things that will help make your belief stronger. And by interacting with the people on this group and some of the other ones, and listening to some other stories, watching the success stories, but hearing other people's threads, you're going to start getting more and more examples of things that confirm that TMS is what's going on with you. And there's a number of them. If you go to ppdassociation.org/symptoms, you will see 30 questions. And you will notice in those 30 questions, there's a lot of characteristics of personalities, of behavior, of pain and symptoms that confirm that it's this neural circuit reason for the pain. In many cases, learned pain that's been learned over the years, that is the cause. And just one example that I heard today in a podcast was that if you go walking and you're fine while walking, but the pain shows up later, that's proof it's TMS. Because if it were structural, it would be hurting while you're doing that walk. That's just one of many. And if you don't have that exact one, please don't discount this. That's just one of many, many. And I'm not going to sit here and try to think up every single example. But once you make the decision to believe that TMS is exactly what's causing your pains and symptoms, you don't have to do much else. Just start beginning and trusting the process. Trust the process that's worked for countless numbers of people. It's impossible to estimate, but since the 70s when Sarnos started this, it's got to be millions, because his books have sold a ton. The books have been handed down and shared. There's more and more and more people who are embracing this approach for ending their chronic pain. There's more and more knowledge and science surrounding pain science, brain science. We understand this stuff so well. And so it's not a stretch to believe that you can get well even though you may have had pain for years or decades. It's not a stretch to realize that the brain works a certain way and that we can actually teach it something new, something that we want it to believe, which is there's no reason for the pain. Dr. Schubner and Dr. Hanscom were just on a podcast on Dr. Hanscom's Back in Control podcast. And they were talking about it. And one of the things Dr. Hanscom asked was, hey, Dr. Schubner, besides human beings, is there any other animal, or is there any animal in the animal kingdom where chronic pain is a real thing? Or is it pretty much injury, pain, heals, no more pain? So why is it that human beings are so blessed and lucky to have this thing called chronic or persistent pain? It's all based on the way we think and use our brains. Fear, focus, and anxiety can teach our brains and these neural circuits to keep on firing, even though there's no structural or physical reason for the pain. So look, back to the original topic here. Do you need to believe 100% to get well? I don't think so. You need a strong belief. But you certainly don't need 100% belief to begin. And for anybody who's been waiting saying, well, I don't believe so. I read somewhere that people say you have to believe 100%, otherwise it's not going to work. So why bother? Please don't discount this because you're not 100%. If you're 70% and you're willing to read a little bit and do the assessments, that will increase your belief. And then if you are willing to start trying some new things. Start to shift your focus back to living your life. Try to not care so much, right? Try to feel your emotions a little bit. Teach your brain that those things are safe. Soothe your body. Deep breathing. If you've been walking around with your shoulders up and all tense and stressed out all the time, learn to relax a little bit. And stop listening to all the thoughts you have in your head. The ones that say, but it might be physical. What if those thoughts aren't even true? What if it's all just this TMS stuff? So look, you don't need 100% belief to begin. And that belief will grow. But it starts with a decision. Decide that this makes sense to me. Decide that every other medical intervention and treatment and diagnosis I've had has not panned out. And therefore decide that you can toss all that crap out, including all of the negative nocebos, meaning the negative suggestions by the doctors and physical therapists and chiropractors and everybody you've been to treatment. Get rid of all of the belief that you can't get better, because you can. And so, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Belief. Make a decision to believe enough to begin. The belief will grow, and it will grow and grow. And after a while, you're going to be so damn sure that this is TMS that your belief will be unwavering. But there's also another belief. Do I have what it takes to do this? Right? Can I figure this out? Because I hear a lot of people say, yeah, TMS makes total sense. I don't think I've got anything wrong with my body. But I think I'm too anxious. I think I'm too far gone. I've had this pain for too long, and so I won't get better. All right, well, I'm going to encourage you to set that belief aside, because that belief is false. And that you're not too far gone. You're not too anxious. You're not too stressed out to get well. Because trust me, a lot of people who have gotten well had and still have very stressed out lives. So, decide to believe. Decide to believe in this thing called TMS, mind-body syndrome. But most importantly, decide to believe in yourself. You deserve this chance to get well. And it's not a leap of faith. It's trusting some proven, accurate knowledge, trusting a proven approach to ending the pain and teaching the brain to turn it off. This isn't wild, fringe theory here. It's real stuff. So if you don't believe 100%, it's okay. Start anyway. You'll learn to believe. If you don't believe in yourself, it's okay. Start anyway. So anyway, guys, gals, love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.